All right, ETM Hotep, and I'd like to welcome the viewers who are watching live and those who will be watching the archive. Today is Friday, and this is our Freestyle Fridays, where we pick um, a random picture or a picture that is recommended by someone on our Facebook group, the Seshew Medew Netcher Facebook group. And today we're going to be dealing with a picture that was suggested by Brother Sean Phillips. And normally we would prefer pictures of the actual primary, either primary text or the actual artifact itself. But in this case, it's an actual drawing, which is okay. But the preference is the actual artifact. But sometimes the artifacts are hard to read, or the picture may be, bad quality or something like that. And then you will have the picture redrawn by, an archaeologist or a surveyor of Kemet at some point in time. So in this case, we're dealing with the actual picture that was redrawn. All right. So I'd like to thank the brother Sean for suggesting it. And actually, brother invited you on the hangout, but I see you in transit. You got two brothers in transit, and see that's dedication. When you're on the phone, you in the car, you on your way somewhere, and you still tuning in. So that's good. But all right, so we're just gonna jump right in. I'll share my screen, and we'll just jump right on in. I'll share my screen, and I do that every time. All right, so in the meantime, does anybody else have anything, any introductory words, anything, any comments, anything to bring up? I know our last hangout was Divine Words Wednesday, and we dealt with the subject matter of good character, but in reference to what's prescribed in the wisdom literature of Kemet, and particularly the maxims of Ptah-hotep. So we went over a few of them, but time didn't allow us to go into any in-depth explanation or to cover a lot of the maxims. But the maxims of Ptah-hotep as a whole is a very, very good inscription or text that I recommend everyone to get a copy of. The English translations are fine. You know, I did show pictures of a couple of books that speak about it. There's a book in particular called I forget the exact title. It has a yellow cover, and it actually speaks about the instructions of Ptah-hotep. But that book actually gives a lot of good information dealing with good character, um, and it lets us know in ancient times the views of character, of a person's character, because you have the maxims of Ptah-hotep, you have the instructions of Ka-Gimni, the instructions of Amen-Emhat, and then you have the instructions of Amen-Ope, Amen-Ope as they refer to him. So, and then there's others as well. But all of those, well, I know the instructions to Ka-Gimni and maxims of Ptah-hotep are on a papyrus called Papyrus Prissy, and we spoke about that Wednesday as well. But that's highly recommended to read those, because we need to have some kind of measurement for our character. And a lot of people give respect and reverence to African cultures in general, and you have a lot of people who are students of Kemet, um, which is perfectly fine, as great. But we also have to look at Kemet, and see, extract things from the traditions and from the culture to apply in our lives for the here and now, things that are applicable here and now. Here we are in 2016, and of course we're not back in 3000 BCE, but when it comes to good character, when it comes to a lot of the foundational things that are pretty universal, those never go out of style. Good character never ever goes out of style. All right. And those wisdom texts that we talked about are examples of it. And I encourage everyone again to seek them out and get them, and we'll discuss it more, because we didn't have time to go through the different maxims and kind of just discuss it. And they're very, very powerful. I did mention a book by Dr. Theophilo Binger called African Philosophy, the Pharaonic Period, from 2780 to 330 BC. That book is excellent. I recommend that to everyone. Dr. Obinga does a good, excellent job at, doing an expose and giving commentary about African philosophy with a focus on Kemet, the Pharaonic period. And in there, he talks about the maxims of Ptahhotep, among a whole bunch of other things as well. But that should be a must. Definitely have to have that on your in your library, on your bookshelf. And also a book by Dr. Raketi Amin, A Centered Life, Living Ma'at. Showed the cover of that book. That book is recommended. Also a book by University of Kemet Press called Ma'at. I think it's a subtitle to it as well, but it's big letters, Ma'at. It's a pretty thick book, and that book is highly recommended. It's along the same lines. It gives a lot of the different moral guidance, pulling from different texts, from the Maxims of Ptahhotep, from the Salier papyri, dealing with the intellectual view of intellectualism and things like that. So all of these were recommended our last hangout, which was Wednesday. All right, so so tonight is our Freestyle Friday, and I'm going to share the picture, and we can just get started. Share my screen. All right, and hopefully everyone can see my screen. All right, and also on the YouTube channel, the chat box is open. And if you do want to come in on the panel and you got questions and you want to be a part of the discussion, just let me know, and I can send you the link. Because like I said, this is Freestyle Fridays, and what Freestyle Fridays is that we basically use the correct method in transliterating and translating text, with the exception of not using the sign list and not using dictionaries. And this is beneficial because it allows us to see where we're at in terms of our memorization of different signs, the individual signs themselves, and the groupings of signs as words, to recognize words and to know what they mean. And this is not something that's easy, because it takes dedication to memorize a lot of these different words, because this is not a language that we speak every day, and this is not a language that we write in every day. So out of sight, out of mind, you snooze, you lose. So it's only with putting in time and practice on a consistent basis that you're able to even memorize what these signs represent and what the groupings of signs are to form words, and then what those words mean. So by us doing the Freestyle Friday, it's just a fun exercise for those of us on the panel and those watching. You can just see where you're at. All right. So this is the picture that the brother recommended that we do for Freestyle Friday. And now normally when we're actually showing, when we're actually explaining in more detail about the process, the 4 steps, we usually have a picture, and we'll have the either the columns or the rows numbered so you can follow along. But what I'll do, I'll try to follow along with my cursor as best I can, and as we go through it. All right, but let me just say what those 4 steps are as far as the method. So step 1 is always to determine the direction in which to read the signs. All right, step 2 is to identify each individual sign. Step 3 is to group the signs together, or to figure out which signs are grouped together that forms words that you can look up in dictionaries. And then step 4 is to take the meanings that you get from those dictionaries and to come up with a sensible translation. So that's the gist of those 4 steps. But like I said, we're not going to deal with the sign list, and we're not going to deal with the dictionary. All right, but we still walk through those 4 steps. All right, so now with that being said, let me get my cursor on the picture. All right, so hopefully you all can see my cursor. Can anybody on the panel see my cursor? Just want to make sure I can follow along. Yes, no?
2.
All right. Okay, so I'll start this off with giving a direction. Now, a lot of inscriptions, all of the signs will be facing in one direction, so it's very simple to read. But this particular inscription is written in 2 directions and both rows and columns. So this top section here, if you can see my cursor, the top section is written, or the signs are facing to the right. And how I know that is by way of the animals and different human body parts, etc. So here where the cursor is, I see this is a bird. And those are really quick clues. If you just look for the birds and just look for the directions they're facing, then you pretty much have done that first step. Okay, so I can see all of the birds are facing to the right. This bee over here is facing to the right. The duck is facing over to the right. This bird here, and so on. The cobra here. And I can pretty much scan all 5 of these rows and see that they're all facing to the right. So what that means is that we're going to read the inscription from right to left, because we're going to read into the signs. And that's a simple thing to remember, because you're acting as though you're talking to the animals or these objects. All right, and we always talk to things facing them. So we're going to face the signs and speak into them, or read into them, I should say. All right, so that's an easy thing to remember. So this particular inscription, we would say it's written horizontally. You read it horizontally, right to left. All right, and horizontal being rows. Now, down here, if you can see my cursor on the left-hand side, I'll scroll up a little bit. Here, I quickly look for the birds again. Birds are pretty much the quickest thing that you can see in terms of the direction that they're facing. So I see a bird here, a bird here, a bird here, and all of the animals. This animal here, this bird, etc. Another bee here, frontal part of an animal, etc. They're all facing to the right, just like top section. The only difference is that these glyphs are written in a column. All right, so we will also read these from right to left, but it would be vertical. So these are vertical, read vertically, right to left. Over here on the right hand side, all of the signs, again, I'll look for birds, are the quickest things, as I said, and they're all facing to the left. The bee, see another bee here, facing to the left. Another animal here facing to the left, and so on. So all these are facing to the left. So it would be the direct opposite of what I just said for this side. So this side is also in columns, and the glyphs are facing to the left. Therefore, I'm going to read it vertically from left to right. All right, and that covers step 1. And you pretty much scan, whatever picture you're dealing with to make sure you figured out all of the directions. And even here, the figures here at the bottom, they reflect the same direction as the glyphs. This bottom figure on the right hand side, he's facing to the left, and this bottom figure on the left side is facing to the right. All right, and just as a FYI, wherever this picture is coming from, this center part must have been a doorway. I mean, I can take a very educated guess that this was a doorway. And the reason why I say that is because it's in doorways that the glyphs will face inward, because for a person to walk that will be walking through the doorway, they'll be able to read from their vantage point. From walking in the middle, they'll be able to look over to the left and read into the signs from their position to the left, and then they'll look over here and they'll be reading from their vantage point to the right. All right. And usually at the top of these doorways, you will find symmetrical uh, inscriptions. And by that I mean that they'll be written from left to right, and then right to left, being divided right in the middle. But in this particular case, all of these rows are completely written facing to the right. So you're gonna read them from right to left. Okay, so this would be an exception to that. All right. So that pretty much concludes step one, and that's the easy step. And I started off with the easy step, so I took the easy one. So um, if anybody else on the panel want to jump in and start identifying some of the glyphs in these top 5 rows, so we can go from the very top and deal with the top row. So if anybody on the panel wants to just identify any of the glyphs that you see, just start identifying them. And I think it would be a good idea for me to include other members on the panel, unmute their mics and everything. All right, so everybody is unmuted. So again, if anybody wants to jump in and start with that top row, just to identify any of the signs that you can see.
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Two. Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go for it.
All right. I see the Unk symbol. You got your cursor out?
1 second. Let me get my cursor back on there. I'll follow as you go along. So we're at the top row. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, top row. Going right to left. Got the Unk symbol. Have the Haru bird. Have the Unk symbol again. We have I forget what they called that. I know it's the MS for mess. I forget what they call it though. And then I have the raised bread loaf underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the that's a vulture up there. You have the neb symbol underneath that. Then you have the I guess that would be the cobra, the Uraeus symbol with the bread basket under that. We got the Unk symbol again. The mess symbol, MS, with the raised bread loaf underneath that. Then you have the Haru bird again with the symbol for I guess it's new or for gold. Then you have the Unk symbol again, the mess symbol with the raised bread loaf, the soup symbol, then the soup symbol with the raised bread loaf. The T is a phonetic complement, I believe, with raised bread loaf. And then you have the bitty right there. You have the Ra symbol. Then you have the Kepra, the dung beetle. You have the raised arms, which is the Ka. Then you have the pintail duck with the Ra symbol behind that. And I forget what that one is again. But I know it means Usur. And you have the folded cloth behind that. You have the open mouth, raised bread loaf, the door bolt, and the water ripples. Then you have the Netcher flagpole, and the Nefer symbol.
Joe's not an axe. No, I'm just.
I could barely see it. I'm just.
No.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not an axe. I don't know who said it was an axe.
No. That is a topic of debate.
Oh.
What what it represents, whether it's a.
Oh, okay.
But you can
Okay. So after that, you have the Nefer symbol, and then after that, you have your basket again, your net basket, and you have the symbol for um it's XA Ka or Ka, and it's like the sun rising up, I guess.
hmm
And then you have the arm down there for the phonetic complement. Well, no, yeah, you had the arm down there, and then you got the bird that attaches with that word. So you got the quail chick next, and then you have the or the basket again. Then you have the eye, and then you have I'm gonna say that is underneath the eye. I'm gonna say that's the placenta, just off familiarity, and the raised bread loaf. You have the conical loaf or conical cone or whatever. And then after that, you have the Ankh symbol, you have the Jed pillar, you have the wasp scepter, then you have the animal spine or backbone, and then the little jar underneath there represents the ib, the heart or the mind. Then you have the horned viper underneath that. Then after the horned viper, you have the Ra symbol. And after that, I I'm not sure what that what they call that symbol, but I know it's transliterated as MI.
hmm
And after that, you have the that's the cobra right there, the Jed cobra. I call it the Jed cobra. And you have the bread loaf, and then you have the symbol for the land down there,
All right.
and that
So
would be a cart. That's a Shanu up there. Matter of fact, now that I'm looking at it,
mhm.
that whole thing.
Now you say you could barely see it, but is it clear enough? Because I want to make sure that it's.
Well, I had like a little, like you know how you got the little hangout bar on top where you could show yourself, or you could
Oh, right, right.
your mic. Yeah, it was right there for a while, but I see now. It
Okay.
went
All right.
away.
Just want to make sure everyone can see it. Okay. So all right. So that's good. So that would be the first row. So right, yeah, like you said, that's a very long Shinu or cartouche. It's all within a cartouche, you know. Um, so that lets you know that it's dealing with a royal name, and by being so long, then instead of having individual Shinu that are usually used for the nomen and prenomen, as they call it, or the throne name and the family name, which will be the name that a king takes when they're enthroned, and then the name that a king is born with, the family name. Um, those are usually the two names that are within a cartouche or Shanu. But in this case, the entire, all five names and epithets are within the Shanu. So this is a little different, but that doesn't stop anything. All right, so that's good. Um, so let's see. Well, now there's a lot of glyphs on here, so I know I don't want to take all the time to identify every single glyph on the picture, but maybe we could pick another row and do it. So let's go down to, so we, since we did one row, let's do a column. Let's go down here to one of the columns, and maybe somebody else on the panel can pick any column. Just let me know which one you're doing, and I'll follow you. But pick a column, and then just identify some signs, and we can keep it moving. Brother Sean, I know you're still in transit, so let me know. Okay, we got Brother June. Let me include him on here. ETM Hotep, sorry about that. I have unmuted your mic now. But yeah, anybody else on the panel want to pick a column and then do the same thing?
Hotep.
Hotep.
Okay, I'm back in. I just made it to the house.
All right, all right. So
Yeah,
if you're able to see the screen, if you want to jump in, you can jump in right now.
yeah, I can see it. And let's go with the on this left side. It's four columns on the left side,
Hmm.
and then as you said in the first step, identifying which way we're reading these, it's going to be right to left. So
Hmm.
we on the left side reading right to left. I'm gonna go with the first column,
Okay.
and then the first symbol I see is the Sioux plant.
Okay. Hmm.
To the left of that is the conical loaf. Underneath that we have the Hotep table, the offering table,
Hmm.
and then the phonetic complements under that, which are the raised bread loaf X1, and then the stool. Underneath that we have the eye.
Hmm.
Under that we have the throne with the seated deity behind it. Underneath that we have that is the basket with no handle.
Hmm.
Okay, and then down underneath that we have the Jed pillar, um, and then a quail chick to the left of that. And underneath those two signs we have the hand, and then under that is the I think that's the yeah, that's the determinative. Sometimes you refer to it as the X-Men belt buckle, but I think it's a determinative for inhabited place.
Hmm.
To the left of that, we have a raised bread loaf with Gardner code X1, and then to the left of that, we have a single stroke. Okay, so going down again on the right side, we have the Netcher symbol. It's
Hmm.
a cloth tied to a stick. To the left of that, we have the wooden column, and then another basket, no hand.
I think we lost your audio.
This one's called. Uh, yeah, I would have to go into my the tall and narrow section of
There's a
my sign list. What's that in that?
chisel.
Oh, okay, that's the chisel. Okay, and then to the left of that we have the that's the leg, and then under that we have two heels. I think that's a determinative also. That's the two heel sign. And then to the left of that we have again the determinative for the inhabited place. Okay, and going down, we have the arm, and I think it's holding the conical loaf in his hand. Under that, we have the viper, the horned viper.
Hmm.
Okay, and then under that, we have the enclosed. Is that an enclosure? Uh, Transliterated. I think that's PR. It's the enclosure.
Hmm.
And then under that, starting from the right, is the bread. To the left of the bread is I think that's the is that the Nefer symbol? Which would be in the animal parts.
It's an or.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay,
Or
that's the
total.
ore. Oh, my bad.
Hmm.
That's the ore. And then to the left of that is I think that's some kind of jug.
Hmm.
Under that we have a the sign for land, followed by three strokes. Okay, and then under that we have the head of an animal. I think it's a I'm not sure. It's an ox head, maybe.
Just one quick second.
Hmm.
For anyone that's watching this live, if your screen is a little blurry, you can always set your settings on the YouTube channel to set it to 720, and you can find that right under the video on the cogwheel on the settings. You can just click it and then set it to 480, I believe, or 720. I think 720 is the best that you can get, and it should clear it up. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. I just wanted
Oh, it's all right. Hopefully everybody can see and is following along with us.
to.
Thanks. So yeah, we have two heads of animals. The first one I think is the ox head, and then to the left of that is the head of a fowl or duck, some kind of bird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I'm trying to make out the next symbol. Is that oh, it's another sign for the land, and then three strokes again. Under the three strokes on the right side, we have rope. That's the sign for rope, I think. And then to the left of that, I think is the sign. That's the sign for linen.
Mm-hmm.
And below the rope, is that the basket? No handle? That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Okay,
we're going we'll detail it.
okay, okay. Under that, we have the offering table again with the phonetic complement, raised bread loaf, and stool. Underneath that is another raised bread loaf, and then the cobra and the horned viper. The next sign under the horned viper is a bird. I think that's the vulture. Uh, Trying to look around. Yeah, I think that's the vulture. Okay. Under that is once again the sign for land, followed by three strokes. And then we go down. I see a water ripple, N35. The two arms raised, followed by a single stroke, water ripples again. Under the water ripples, starting on the right side again, is the reed leaf. It's M17 reed leaf. And then behind that is, I think that's the ribs. And then under that is the placenta. Uh, Depending on what sign list you're using, it'd be Gardner code J1 or double A1. Under that is the memboard. Oh no no. Let me start back on the right. Since we're reading right to left, I'm gonna go with the reed leaf, M17 reed leaf, and then jump over to the memboard with the phonetic complement water ripple. That's N35. And then the last sign in this column is the owl. That's in the G category. I think that's G17.
All right. Okay. So excellent. Um, I just want to point out something here, and we had a similar situation inside of the Seshew Meta Netcher Facebook group. A brother posted, big brother Darius had posted a picture from the museum in Chicago, and on that picture, there's an instance of rows and columns right next to each other. And in this particular picture, where we see how many columns? One, two, three, four. There are four columns on the left-hand side. as you said, but at the very bottom it does something a little tricky. And if you notice that these dividing lines between these columns, they stop right here. This rightmost dividing line goes all the way down, and the leftmost dividing line goes all the way down. But these three dividing lines inside, they stop. So what this means, and this is and you'll just gain this from experience and looking at these different lentils or stelae um, and different things, you'll kind of pick up on these dividers. But this will indicate that this first, most likely that this first column is continued down here at the bottom over to your left. So I just want to put that out there as a FYI. All right.
Oh yeah, do Saber. I just noticed that when you said it.
Right. So now, even if you don't pick up on it right away, eventually, by the time you get to step three, and grouping the signs, and then you're trying to come up with a sensible translation, um, it'll make itself apparent. You know, through the process, you'll come to know it. But just by looking at it, I just wanted to put that out there that that's what's usually is going on. All right. All right. So we did a row and we did a column, identifying the individual signs. And as I said, there's a lot of signs on this picture, so we don't have time to identify every single sign. And plus, a lot of signs are repetitive. So, like for example, at the bottom we have reed leaf, reed leaf. We have a whole bunch of water ripples. We have a couple of cobras, a couple of horned vipers, a couple of vultures. So I think going over those two lines, the row and the column, I think we've covered pretty much a lot of the signs. So just kind of scanning this and any signs that stand out. Like if you look over here, you see some bows right here. How many? There are 9. So there are 9 bows there, and we could pretty much guess what that's going to deal with when we get to it. What else stands out? Um,
What about those? What about those 3 symbols? Third column
uh,
down, right below the owl,
uh,
right below those 3 symbols.
okay, yeah, those are not regular. Like those are not signs that you see all the time. So
Right. Yeah, I'm
right.
not familiar with them.
Okay, we'll look at it because a lot of times, see, now this is another thing. So I'm glad you brought that up because in this process, I described the 4 steps, and all along during the 4 steps of the process, you have to be open-minded, you have to be flexible, and you have to make use of all of the clues and tools that you have. So a lot of times, even though you may not be able to recognize a sign right away, by the time you see the signs you do recognize, and by the time you formulate your words and you figure out the meaning, some of these signs will start to make sense. Even though you may not know what it is, like as far as a description, like for example, when you were saying the mess, like you know up here at this top row, you know that it's transliterated as MS, and you know what it means, but then the description, you may not know the technical description of it. You may not remember it, I should say, but it still doesn't matter as far as getting to the meaning, because some people call it the tied animal skins, and some people say tied foxtails, you know, tied foxtails for that. But this one, I don't know off the top of my head as well. But the thing is, when you start to um, go through it and see the words that you do know and everything, you could probably figure it out and you'll get an epiphany. A light bulb will kick in. You'll be like, oh, okay, so now I know what that is. All right, so that's pretty much that. Let's see. Okay, so that pretty much concludes step 2. But like I said, there's too many signs for us to identify all of them. I was just trying to kind of scan and see what stands out. So that's a good one. Those 3 right there. But it's next to the sign that's for to follow. Shems. here. So most likely we'll be dealing with something along those lines. What else stands out? This sign right here stands out to me because elsewhere, this particular glyph here, people thought it was a dinosaur, or people think it's a dinosaur because of the way it looks. It looks like a lizard. It looks like
Which one? Which one? Where you at? Okay, on the left side still. I see you now.
yeah, right here. And you know, so I will always remember this sign because people think or thought that there's still people that think that this is an actual dinosaur. I forget the name of the kind of dinosaur that people think it is, but so that's kind of, this sticks out. You don't see it too much, but you know you will see it, and it's one of those signs that you'll remember. But what it is, it's a trestled goose. In other words, it's a goose with its neck broken, and the insides are cut. You know, the belly is cut. Right here is not the detail, you can't see it, but it's a goose with the neck bent.
I see it now as you said that.
Right. And it's a word that means fear,
Mm.
to be fearful. You see it over here as well. And another thing that you know that I noticed, I pick up, is that we have a repeat of, like, if you look at this first column on the left hand side and the first column on the right hand side,
Mm-hmm.
you can see a lot of things that are repeating, and then some things aren't repeating. Um, you know, so that would be interesting to get to. Okay,
Mm.
so all right, but before we move on, does anybody else have any comments about it, about anything so far?
Man, we had the brother Antoine, Saint Antoine just joined us.
Okay, let me
What's up, Sin Sean? Hotep. I wonder is he still driving?
yeah, we don't want to cause any accidents.
Hotel. Nah, I'm trying to listen in and watch y'all
Okay.
and my grandmother, man. I'm fixing her computer for her. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I was gonna see if any glyphs stood out to you or anything, but I can dig it.
We want to make sure you weren't driving. All right. Uh,
Hotel family. I'm in here, but my wife got me on probation. She got me on such probation. You gonna say hi?
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, she got me on. So I'm listening in.
all right,
Hotep.
Hotep,
Uh-huh.
Hotep, sister. All right. So, all right. Let me see. Let me just make sure there's no questions, comments on the YouTube channel, because I like to have the participation. And like I said, let's see. Do we have any room on the panel though? Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 2 slots. We have 2 slots available. So if anybody is watching and would like to chime in on the panel and be part of the discussion, just let me know. But otherwise, we'll just continue because this is being recorded and hopefully benefit anyone that will watch the archive. But I do see a question from Lisa Darcy. 6 of the 8 columns start off exactly the same. Is that significant? And let's see which ones that she's referring to. 6 of the 8. Oh, is it significant? Now I don't, not in any special way, but it definitely lets us know that they're starting off with the same same wording. You know, but if you notice the third column, or I should say the fourth and last column in the on left hand side, it starts off the same, but then right below it, it starts to differ. You know, pretty much and the next one, I guess the third column on the right hand side, it starts off the same, but it differs than the one over here. Now, this second column on the left and the second column on the right, if you scan your eyes down, those look alike all the way down to about right here. So both of these are pretty much the same until you get way down here, about midway down. So like I said, we're gonna be looking at a lot of repetitive words. All right, so that's interesting. But all right, so that concludes step one and step two. So now let's move on to step three, because like I said, step two we're kind of fast forwarding because we can't identify. So we're gonna kind of do step two as we go along, and then obviously as well, time won't permit us to do this entire picture either. So, but we're gonna go back to the top and let's go over step three for this top row. I know Brother Satep and Ra, he already gave the identity of all of the individual signs. So now let's start identifying words. So Satep, I don't know if you want to jump in and take a crack at that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. So we have um, Encore, so it's mean the living horse or living Haru. Then we have Ankh Mesut.
All right, so hold on. So basically you're doing step three and four
Oh,
together.
hold on. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. No, I just want to make sure it's clear to those watching now and for the archive. So basically we're gonna combine step three and four together and just run through these lines. Okay, so you can go ahead. I just want to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, we have Ankh Hor. So I would translate that as the living Haru. Then we have Ankh Mesut. So it means born. I know Ankh means life and Mesut means to be born, so I would say that's a
I
tough
don't
one
know.
right
Is it
there.
is it is it born living?
No, it
Living
wouldn't be
born?
born. It wouldn't be born living. Um, that's a tough one there. I'm gonna say to be born, I guess, or yeah, I
To
guess.
bring to bring life, to bring forth life.
All right, we'll go to the next. So I'll come back to that one. Oh, dang, it comes up again, and it comes up again. Uh, so I have
You got to go like you said. You said the living Haru, right? So the next one part, the living. You said,
a living Haru.
so they all gonna be the living
Uh,
something.
born of yeah, that's a tough one there. We have Mesut Unk. Uh, I'm just gonna say
Well, you have the both. You know what both words mean. It's just
right.
trying to make sense of
Born.
it.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of it. uh,
See, it comes in, and this is a good time to kind of just um, remind ourselves that this is part of what we have to do as we grow in our knowledge is we have to pierce these idioms, these cultural idioms that existed, thousands of years ago that may differ from how we speak today or some of the idioms that we use today. Because like we'll look at it like how you said, living, like Ankh is life, and then Mesut is birth, to give birth, but you're like, wow, how does that make sense? Life, birth, like birth is life, life, like what is it trying to say? Um,
living birth, living of birth, maybe.
well, yeah, well, grammatically it would be living of birth,
Yeah. Okay.
but
But
it's more so like saying consistently rejuvenating, because if you're living births plural, no single person is born but one time, you know, outside of the reincarnation conversation. But so it's like to say to basically to stay youthful. You know, I'm just giving the kind of different connotations of that.
Right, right. It makes sense too.
Hmm.
Yeah, to stay young.
Perpetual youth or whatever, even though it's
Yeah,
literally living of birth.
yeah. Okay, so living of birth. We had the two ladies.
Uh,
We have
let me get my cursor back. I'm sorry.
Nick, I believe the two ladies.
Hmm.
We have living of birth again. Then we have the golden Haru.
Hmm.
Then we have living of birth again. You have the suit Bitty, which is the dual king. You have Ka Kepara. Let's see, what would that translate as? Ka Kepara. The soul, the transformation, the souls of Ra, maybe, or the soul of Ra, or the form of Ra, the soul of Ra. Something dealing with the soul, the form, and transform.
Hmm.
Okay, so or it could be to create too. So it could be the Ka, uh, the soul of Ra is created, or the soul of Ra is formed.
Hmm.
And then we have after that the son of Ra, which is the Zara, son of Ra. Then we have Sin Useret, and I just know that by being I just from looking at it, it's man of Waset or man of Waset or something like that. Just from dealing with that name, I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but
Hmm.
in translating that, then we have what we have Netcher, Netfer. So it means the good divinity, Lord. Net. We have the Ned basket, Lord of appearances, because we have the Kau, if I'm saying that right. So we have the Lord of appearances, and then we have the Ned basket again. Let's see. So it says Lord, ear, her, right, to make. So it says the Lord to make. Correct. That's in the present or no. Uh I can't remember what correct means. Lord of appearances.
It's well, that's this is something that you'll see on a couple of the kings epithets where they say Lord. Well, literally, it will be or Master of doing things, because ket.
Iriket. Okay. The Lord of doing things.
But
Okay.
that's let me pause right there because that's another idiom, because literally it says Lord of doing things, but it's a phrase to say Lord or Master of ritual, because ket is a phrase for rituals. So
Okay.
he's the master of rituals. Yep.
Okay. So Master of Rituals, Lord of Rituals
Hmm.
says D Unk Was. So it says may may he be given life, stability, dominion. Let's see. If, so that would be in happiness. We have the F right there, so that means his. Okay, man, he be giving happy. Yeah, okay, so happiness like Ra forever.
Hmm.
Okay,
There you go. All right. So okay, and that's pretty much the entire what do you call it, titulary or titulary. of this particular king, and you can see all 5 names in here and some epithets thrown in. So we have the Heru name, which is Ankh-Mesut, and then we have the Nepti name, which is the same, Ankh-Mesut, and then the Golden Falcon name, which is the same as Ankh-Mesut. So he has 3 identical names, and then the throne name is Keper-Ka-Ra, and then the family name would be, as you said, Sin Waseret. But now this one is a little different. Sin, I mean that's correct, Sin Waseret, but it actually breaks down as Ni Waseret, which means man. So it's like Si is man, and some people first assumption is that this is Sin to mean brother, like brother of whatever, but it's actually Si by itself. The doorbell is Z or C, ZI or SI as as it's transliterated.
You put a dash. Would you put a dash and then N?
Right, and then Ni, so Si Ni, so it means man belonging to. So Si Ni, Waseret, so man belonging to the powerful one, which is Waseret is a feminine form of the powerful one, Wasir, Wasser, or so man belonging to the powerful one would be the name. Then you have Netcher, Netcher Nefer, and so on. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. And then we have another idiom, like I said, the master of rituals, and that's it. All right, and then all of this is within the cartouche. It's a long one. So,
Yeah, I never seen one that long, except for like in the Ptolemy area.
right. And
But they just added everything into one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They like phonetically spelt out most of their names too.
Yeah, they did. That's why I said I haven't seen them that long until Ptolemy era, and they was like literally spelling their names out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a good way to conserve space and have everything in there. So that's good. And we definitely know this is not the Ptolemy era because we're dealing with Sarah. And that's another thing to point out that a lot of the names of the kings that we know them as are their Sarah names, which would be the family names. And these happen to be the names that the people in ancient Kemet, they wouldn't refer to the kings as those names. So we're actually inadvertently kind of disrespecting the tradition because in the tradition the kings were called officially were called by their throne name. So the kings would have been called by their Nisut Biti name, which would in this case it would be Kepra Ka. But if I were to say Kepra Ka to the average person, we don't really know the kings by these names. Egyptologists have decided to call all the kings by their Sarah names. So a lot of people will know this is Senwosret and like who's another one? Easy. Hatshepsut. Like even when we say Hatshepsut, that's her Sarah name. Her throne name would be Min. What is it? Min Ma'at Ra? Not Min Ma'at Ra.
Yes.
Ma'akara.
Ma'akara, yeah, Ma'akara.
Ma'akara. And if we just say Ma'akara, we had to really think about it because like, oh, wait a minute, who's that?
Yeah, I actually caught a couple people up like that. I was like, who is Ma'akara? And they'd be thinking of a guy, but I'm like, no, that's a female. That's
Right.
that's the person who you calling a dyke.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to point that out that we are inadvertently, disrespecting the tradition, by doing it this way. So maybe we can learn, we got to become more familiar with the Niswabiti names just so that we can keep up with what is more historically accurate, because the kings were referred to as their Niswabiti names.
I just got one question now. Would it be Ka Kepera or would it be Kepra Kara? Because I remember we were saying that the Kepra beetle would be honorifically transposed, as would the Ra symbol. So would it be Ka Kepera or would it be Kepra?
In this case, it would be Kepper first.
Okay.
Ra.
You want to expound on that a little bit?
Well, this will be a grammar situation because Kepper would be the verb, and in verbal clauses or verbal sentences, the verb comes first. So Kepper means to come into form. So it's saying coming into form is the Ka of Ra. So it'll be Kepper Ka Ra.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be in that particular instance. But now, not every name has a verb in it. That's why I said for because some people may be familiar with the word order of Rani Kemet or ancient Egyptian, and most people will just know the verbs come first. They will say, VOS, which is verb, object, subject. But if you don't actually study the language, a lot of people will just stop there and they will assume that all of the clauses and sentences are VOS, verb, object, subject. But that's only true for verbal sentences, for verbal clauses. But unlike English, Middle Egyptian or Rani Kemet has non-verbal sentences. They have sentences with no verbs. In English, we don't have that. There's no such thing in English. All of our sentences have verbs in them. But technically, a sentence only needs a subject and a predicate. But in Rani Kemet, the predicate simply doesn't have a verb. So we call them non-verbal sentences. So but that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, this would be a verbal clause. So it'd be kepakara, coming into being, or you know came into being, or coming into form, or forming the kavra, or the kavra comes into form, or something. We could translate it different ways as far as bringing it over to English, but that would be the case there. All right, so now, Sean, I know you said you troubleshooting the computer, but remember this is your picture. So you got any questions so far? We just did the first line. We did all four steps. At least for the first line, we did all four steps all the way through. So, what you think so far?
Man, I'm learning. I was picking up on, the way the breakdown was actually going, because when I originally looked at it before I started like getting stargazed and stuck, I was like, man, what the heck do I? But it made sense after you started talking about it, and I was like, okay. But so far, all my questions really have been answered.
Okay, excellent. All right, just wanted to check with you because we're gonna blame this picture on you. All right. I just want to see.
That next line we gonna have to team up on. I can't let my brother June do that one by itself because it's some words in there that we don't know off the top of our head, just freestyling.
Okay, we'll get to that. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions in the chat. Okay, the brother Just Meech, he's asking, isn't the three tied tails to Messi? He said, no, I misspelled it, but meaning born of. That's true. It means, well, it depends on how it's used, but in general, yes, it means to be born, to give birth, or birth. Yep. Um, and by extension, it could be child. You know. Let's see. And then he said, I looked up three foxtails in Ghana, F3 to give birth. Yep. Spiritual coming forth is what he would translate as. Oh, spiritual coming forth. I would translate Ka Keper. Well, yeah, I already kind of touched on it. It would be Keper Ka Ra. All right, that would be the word order of that particular name, Keper Ka Ra. All right, this would be the Keper Ka Ra Sarah Sini Wasoret. That would be the two names inside. In a normal case, those would be the two names that would be inside the Shinu or cartouche. All right, so let's keep it moving. And we are on the next line. So, I have brother Antoine back in. My brother's on probation. All right. Okay, so brother June, you want to go through the second line. Yeah, we can volley back and forth if you want to start it off.
What the next line down or the one that we identified the signs in?
Oh, Satep, were you referring to for the next row or the
I was saying the next line that he did.
Oh, okay. And that was the first. That was
That
act-
was the first column to the left. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. All right, let's jump down there then. All right, let me get my cursor ready. So you want to give it a shot? All right, we could do that.
Yeah, we have some honorific transposition going on. I recognize the the first, what is that, 5 symbols as the Hotep Dinasut formula.
Okay, let me lock it on my screen again, real quick. Okay, go for it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I as I identified the signs in the order that from right to left. But like I said, we have some honorific transposition going on. So the first symbol is that's transliterated NW. No, what was that? NSWT. The second symbol, which is the loaf, that's transliterated DI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, forgive. And then the 3 under that is the Hotep, transliterated capital HTP. And then the last 2 symbols, T and the P, are phonetic complements to the offering table, which is, like I said, transliterated capital HTP. But the honorific transposition, we would actually say that word first and then go up to the D, which was the loaf, and then um, the last word will be Nasut, which we is first. So it's like honorific transposition and honorific transposition.
Okay, so what do you? Okay, so we're gonna combine. We'll do what Satep did. So if you combine
Okay.
step 3 and 4, um,
I would say that's offering the king gives.
okay.
So then going down, I'll group the next 3 signs as Wasir, WSIR,
Mm-hmm. All right.
and then underneath that, I would leave that alone, transliterated Neb, NB for Lord. The next word, 1, 2, 6, is 6. The next 6 symbols I'll group together, and that would be Jedu, transliterated capital D, small d, W,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have what's that, determinative at the end. So that would kind of give a little clue on the grouping of that, the grouping of those signs, and then that's knowing the determinative, a city called Jedu.
Okay.
So far we have offering a king gives, Wasir, Lord of Jedu, and then I'll go down and group the next 2 signs, transliterated N, capital TR,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next symbol I would transliterate A, capital A, for Netcher Aa, meaning great God or great divinity
Mm-hmm.
or great Netcher, however you translate that. The next symbol, once again, I would leave that symbol by itself, NB for Neb, which is Lord or Possessor. Um, go down, I would group the next 4 signs together. As the sister said, that's the chisel. Okay, I can't remember the transliteration, but I see the foot after it, which I'm thinking might be a clue or phonetic complement. So, and then we have two determinatives down there saying that it's a city or inhabited place. What's the name of this city, y'all? Something B.
Is that Abydos?
Abidu.
Yeah, Abydos.
How would you
Right.
transliterate that?
So that's I think the chisel is the biliteral with lowercase a and the b. So the foot is a phonetic complement.
Okay.
So
Do
that's
us in that. So that's neb. How you say it again?
Abidu. So it'll be a b and then uppercase b and then w.
Okay. Lord of Abydos. Okay. The next two symbols I would group together. We have the like I said, arm holding a loaf. Transliterate that as RDI or
Yes, sir.
sometimes DI.
hmm Just one
And then
second, though, real quick.
uh-huh.
When you said that these are two, I don't know if you can still see my cursor. These are
Yeah.
two determinatives. There's only one determinative because this is part of the word.
Okay. I didn't recognize that, but I know sometimes the can be used as a determinative, or the three hills can be used for a determinative.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's the uppercase D at W. So Jew.
Oh, Abju. Okay.
Abju, but we say it as Abydos, but
hmm
Greeks say Abydos, but it's Abju, right? All right.
Okay. Neb Abju, Lord of Abydos, or Lord of Abju.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, yeah, the arm is RDI, forgive, and then the next one, the horn viper, that's the the F. I would transliterate that DI period F for he gives.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go down. I'll group the next grouping. This is where I might need a little help. Okay, that's the I know that's the first one is per for house or for per, but with this grouping, dang, I'm not sure how that goes. I know it's bread and beer,
Mm-hmm.
um, but
I
I,
think
I
that's
can,
the Heru, the voice offering. So you have
okay.
so you have the O, I think, is it? That's what it's
Mhm.
called. The Heru, right inside the
Mhm.
benediction.
So I know the bread is transliterated as T, and then the on the left side is the beer, and that's and
That
Henty.
would be Henneke.
What's that?
That would be the Henneke.
Oh, Henniket. Yeah, Henniket. Okay, so that's so he's talking about he gives and then bread, beer, um, and then I think is that the land sign, is that determinative with the three strokes?
Yeah, that's the one that we always confuse with the land, but I think it's the roll of bread.
Oh, yep, yep. You're right. Yep, you're right. Working with these, like you said, we should have caught that. I should have caught that. So underneath that, the two heads, I would group those next signs together. One, two, three, four signs. Yeah. So the head, what's that? Ox? Is that an ox head?
Mm-hmm. Cattle.
Okay.
It. I mean, you go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So cattle, or would they meat? Would they? How was that translated? Translate.
Yep. T-bone steaks.
And then after that is um uh
Is it gonna
bird.
be? Is it gonna be car?
Yeah, like a
Uh,
goose. Like a
Yeah.
goose.
uh, Cotton,
Hmm.
Apat,
Yeah,
A.
yeah. Transliterated K, capital A, and then the op-ed is what is that? Capital A P D.
Hmm.
Yep. So we're giving beer, bread, uh, meat, birds. Okay, and then underneath that, I would group. I think that's four. The next four signs. Or well, actually, it's linen. Um, I don't know how you transliterate that though. Help me out, Sinet. I know I think I'm pretty sure that's linen or clothing.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
linen,
that
clothing, or alabaster.
right. So that would
Hmm.
be the thing that's chest, and naked, something like that.
Okay, so I think that's a
Yeah,
capital S,
yeah.
capital S, small s, and then how's the and then cat NNKT.
That's MN and then I think XT.
Okay, okay. So that's for clothing or linens. Underneath that, what do I see? I see I'll group the next three signs together. Once again, that's Hotep, capital HTP for offerings, and then that looks like a bread loaf, and then the cobra, viper. So I think I'm gonna group the uh maybe the next, what is that? To Jeffa. Dang, this group is messing me up. Hold on, I'm gonna have to hide the.
That raised bread loaf before that cobra. That's
Does that
throwing
go
me.
with?
Yeah, does that go with the I can't remember. I don't think it would go with the Hotep. I don't know. TGF. I think the maybe okay, maybe it's the raised bread loaf. Okay, there you go. Okay. TF or Tej F.
Hmm.
Tej. I'm not sure with this grouping right here. This where I would be in my dictionary right now, putting all those Gardner codes in or the transliterations, and just include probably the first three signs and see if a word pops up.
Okay. Well, go ahead and skip over this, and then continue forward, and then we'll go back and then see whatever we could plug in that you may have.
Because I see the three strokes down there, so I'm thinking the word might end right there, or the bird, and I can't make out the sign underneath the bird. That might be the land, or more bread. So I'm not sure with those. But I go down to N. I see the water ripples for N, just N, and then underneath that the two arms. That would be Ka, transliterated K, capital A. Um, Underneath that, another water ripple for N. So N, the soul N. Okay. Underneath that, we had the M17 with the rib. Is that Eok? Eok? I think that's uh, is that revered or uh, I should know that word. Eok. On
Yeah, you are right. It is revered. Imak.
Oh, Imak. Okay, yeah. And then underneath that is Amen. So at the end it's saying something like with the soul, with revere, Amen. With the soul, or in the soul, in the revered, Amen. So I think this is I've done a little work on the Hotep Dinasut formulas, and I think this, at least the beginning, what he was offering and stuff is, I think that's pretty common. I just got tripped up at the last part.
Okay. Well, that's good. Um, but you hit it. But you're absolutely right as far as Hotep D Nasut. So this is a common formula, very common formula, and it's just a matter of going over the formulas. And some formulas are longer than others, depending on the inscription, who it is, and things like that. Because some of them are very short, and some of them are long. This is a nice long one. That word that you were at here, if you can still see my cursor, the one with the cobra and the
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a word. Starts with the cobra. It's Jafau,
Mm.
which is the word that this what people see as a land is
Mm-hmm.
actually talking about, but it just means provisions.
Mm.
Jafau.
So that's the same determinant, or yeah, is that being used as a determinative right there?
No, it's a word, Jafau, and then
Okay.
it's determined right here with the same thing. But that's what this alone would be, Jafau. If you saw this by itself,
Mm-hmm.
Jafau, provisions. So provisions of meat and chicken. I'm just using today's vernacular. So T-bone steak and some chicken. But no, it would be beef or cattle and poultry, and then we would have alabaster and linen, and then an offering, and then Hetep, and then Jaffa,
Mm-hmm.
and then to the Ka of. So in Ka in to the Ka of,
Mm-hmm.
the revered one. And then as I said before, we have Amen, but we have it continues. So it's Amen Im Het. So
Mm.
Amen Im Het, Makeru, and then Mes in being born of, and then his must be his mother's name or his father's name right here. So it's Amen Im Het, and then born, who is true of voice, born of, and then someone named. So it's this Sani, Sahini, something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Will be there at the bottom. So what else was there? No, but I think that's it. You got everything else. Oh, right here. With the
Mm-hmm. Yep.
per cheru, which is a invocation offering or a voice offering. It
Mm.
actually literally means let the voice emerge, the emergence of the voice. So it's per, which means to go forward. That's the same word in per and heru, coming forth by day, as people know that text. But it's the emergence of the voice. But it's an idiom that says, this is an invocation or voice offering of beer, bread and beer, tea and hinket, and then et cetera, et cetera. So,
PR X XRW.
Heru, yeah, yep, exactly.
Okay.
hmm and that was it. The only other thing I wanted to say here, and this is just for FYI, is that when we here when you say Lord of Jedu, um, this may actually say Jedu Newt, because you notice this T here. So Jedu Newt, which means the city of stability. Um, so Jedu Newt, but most people just say Jedu, the city of, the Jed pillar, as people will say. But it may be a combination of two words, Jedu Newt. All right, because you have this bread loaf and this single stroke for the word Newt, which is the word city. So Jedu Newt, and that was it. Yeah, that's it. So I know we've been on for quite a while. Let's see where we at. We have been on, oh, not quite 2 hours yet. I see Sean had to pop back in. All right, he's back in. Yeah, all right. So anybody else have any comments? I mean, I don't want to go too long. We did one of the rows and we did one of the columns on here. So, Brother Sean, I'm gonna come back to you since this is your picture. What you think about that column, or you got any questions about that? You see how that pretty much pans out?
Yeah, he did a really good job, even when he kind of tripped himself up. But um, no, I was following along as far as the signs. Of course, a lot of them I'm unfamiliar with, and then the ones that I am familiar with, I kind of knew. But the pronunciations, you did real excellent because I would have tripped over that.
Okay.
Do sin.
Yeah. Excellent job from everyone. And but I want to say this about the pronunciations. Now, all of the pronunciations that we say, even when we're reading it, we're saying ka and ka, imaku and hotep dinasud, and we could pretty much say the whole thing. All of our pronunciations that we use in today are simply just conventional and tentative. They're not meant to be historically accurate. And I say this a lot, but I always like to remind everyone of that because I do get questions from people from time to time, and they'll ask me, well, how do you pronounce this? How do you pronounce that? And I always just let them know that the pronunciations are just conventional. They're not meant to be historically accurate, but it's a way for us to talk about it and pronounce it. And the reason why that is because in Seshew, Medew, Netcher, or the Egyptian hieroglyphs, there's no documentation of any vowels. So all of these glyphs that we're looking at, they only represent consonantal values. They only represent consonants, whether it's single consonants, two or three, which we call uniliterals or monoliterals, biliterals and triliterals. There are no vowels that are represented. So what early Egyptologists did, in order for them to discuss it, they had to include some kind of vowel because you can't pronounce words without vowels. So they decided to come up with the conventional E. They stick a E in between every consonant, with an exception of, you know, some other one, someone special with names and stuff like that. Like we say Hotep, we don't say Hitep, although some people say Hitep. But for the most part, it's an E between all of the consonants, with the various exceptions. But like I said, all of that is tentative, So, um, so I just want everyone to know that. So we're basically just pronouncing it. So the pronunciation, and then some people may not be able to pronounce anything, but that doesn't stop anyone from learning the meaning. You know, um, I can look at the, some people may look at this and know what everything means and be able to tell you what it means in English, but they might not be able to pronounce even the Egyptology speak. And that's, by the way, that's what we call, the the way that the things are pronounced, Egyptology speak, but more formally it's called classroom pronunciation. But we refer to it as Egyptology speak because it's by way of those early Egyptologists. That's the reason why these things are pronounced the way they are. All right, so just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, excellent job. Everybody did an excellent job from step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So to review real quick, step 1, we identified all of the different directions the signs are to be read. And in this case, it's only 2 different directions. Well, let's just say it's 3 because it's you have rows and then 2 columns. And we identified that. And then step 2 was to identify all of the glyphs. And without based on our time, we only did the first row, and then we did the first column on the left-hand side with step 2. Step 3 is to figure out the groupings of these signs and what groups of signs forms words. And there's a lot of things, there's quite a few things that you would have learned already that will help you to do that. And you learn that through taking a course, or even if you study on your own, with any book dealing with teaching you how to read the hieroglyphs. We offer a class on the website at www.mdw-ntr.com, and a new class group is starting. Today's July 1st, so I'm looking to start a new class group as soon as possible, and there's quite a few people are interested. Just trying to lock in a day, because we want to meet on a consistent day, and we meet 2 hours once a week for 12 weeks. So the class is 12 weeks long, and we meet only once a week for 2 hours. And at the end of the class, there's a certification exam where you will be certified, provided that you pass the exam. And then, you know, the option's open to join the membership of the Seshew, Medew, Netcher. You know, and we can discuss all of that. And with that being said, I want to say that us as a group of Seshew, Medew, Netcher, we are simply those who have come together and see the importance of learning the language. And earlier I asked today on Facebook, what is the benefit, or what is everyone's thoughts on learning the language? What are the benefits? Why should we learn this language? You know, are there any benefits? What are they, etc.? Just to get some feedback from, you know, anybody. But we've come together because we see the importance of learning the language. That anyone, and it doesn't just stop at Kemet, but any culture that you are examining, and for whatever reason you're examining the culture, it's always good, it's healthier, and it's much more beneficial that you learn the language of that particular culture, especially a culture that left documentation behind when we're talking about ancient cultures, because it's through learning the language that you're able to read into the culture and read what the people actually left themselves. And that's a window seat right into the minds of the people. You know, you get right into the psyche of the mentality of the people that you're studying. So, and we understand that language itself is a tool of communication, but it also is the DNA of culture, because culture is transmitted through language. All right, so by us learning Seshew, Medew, Netcher, our focus is on Kemet, obviously, but we're tapping into the mentality of the ancient Egyptians, who call themselves Remich. So the ancient Remich, we're tapping right into the mind. So we have a window seat right there, looking out the window, trying to figure out what are the intended meanings, what was going on, what is being said, you know. So that's the importance. So we as a group, that's what we do. And to join the group, all that we ask in order to maintain the integrity of the group is that you show suitable proficiency in performing what we've done tonight. All right, now obviously we're freestyling, so this is a sort of exercise, a fun exercise. And if we had more time, we would just keep on going, you know. But this is an exercise to kind of keep you on your toes, and to let you know what you forgot, what you need to work on, and so on and so forth. But if you really wanted to do some serious study, then yeah, you would use your dictionary and you would use your sign list and stuff like that. So it would be no problem to complete this entire picture. You know, the speed will depend on how proficient you are, but it would be no problem for any of us to do this entire picture. So we want to maintain the integrity of the group and those skills. So that's why we just require people to pass a final exam, a certification exam, I should say. And it's not limited to people who take a class with me or any other teacher affiliated with the website or Seshew, Medew, Netcher. You can take a class with other teachers such as Dr. Rikedi Amin, Benochi Montgomery, Mfundishi, and whoever else is teaching, or on your own. But you will have to demonstrate your abilities so that we can maintain the integrity of the group. All right. And then some of the things that we do as a group, we help, we help, we do this kind of stuff all the time as far as exercises and learning the language, to read and write it, and to get to the meanings behind all of this that we're looking at and reading. But also, there's a lot of projects that we do have cooking in the oven, and that you know within the next year we'll be able to see some of the fruits of our labors from that. So joining the group will get you a front row seat into those projects. It will get you a front row seat into the practice, get you a front row seat with the support system. Because like I said before, this language is not a language that we speak every day. It's not a language that we write in every day. And then, there's hardly anybody that you can even discuss the language with, in your immediate peer groups most of the time. So it's good to have a support system. So that's another benefit of us coming together as a group, because we're all about the language. And so, we got questions about the language, or we want to put in some practice. We just team up and get together and put in the work. All right. So just wanted to kind of cover those things about the Seshew. And then also one important thing, this is something that we've been talking about, especially last Wednesday. With this group, we want to we want to have give off a good vibe of good character. We want to show, lead by example, or be the example, be a role model when it comes to being a student of Kemet, and how to act when engaging in conversations about Kemet, whether there's disagreements involved or agreements or whatever the case is, whether it's from youth to youth, or from youth to an elder, or elder to a youth, whatever. We want to maintain good character at all times. And this is something that is embedded in the Kemetic culture, so much so that the maxims of Ptah are very old, and they were perpetuated throughout Kemet's history in some form or fashion, whether the maxims that's attributed to Ptah or Ka Gimni, Amen Imhet, or Amen Ope, or whoever else. They all fall under the larger umbrella of what people know as Ma'at. Ma'at encompasses a lot more than what we give it credit for. We simply say Ma'at means, truth, balance, reciprocity, order, and maybe a couple other words we'll throw in there. But Ma'at really deals with a lot more than that. Volumes of books could be written just on Ma'at alone, really, if we really, really want to detail it, But the wisdom literature on how to conduct yourself, the ethical, your ethics, your moral compass, your attitudes, how do you conduct yourself, how do you treat your fellow man, how you treat your fellow woman, everything, all that falls up under the umbrella, but that's within the wisdom literature. So we pay a lot of attention to that, and we want to actually apply that in our lives. So hopefully that will reflect and permeate, So that's something that we definitely focus on. All right, but does anybody else have anything? I haven't checked the chat out. Let me just take a quick look at the chat. And I don't want to hog the mic, so if anybody else have any comments, questions, anything that they've seen lately on social media or something in your studies, we can.
I'll comment real quick on just being a member of the Sesh crew. As far as some of the benefits, as he kind of stated, it's very limited people you can discuss the language with, and as you get into the language, you by default you end up getting more into the culture, and so a lot of our discussions end up being about the culture and the tradition, some of the Netters, and so just to have a group of people to bounce the ideas off of and to get more feedback and actually have Wuja kind of help us out with some interpretations. All those things are benefits, as far as being a member of the Sesh crew. and also a lot of resources available to you as far as having access to different books and things of that nature. One thing we do is we all take, study and read different literature, and so we're able to bounce different ideas and to discuss the things we learn from those literatures as well. So that's another benefit to being to the group. So I encourage anyone, as he stated, who is interested in learning the language and also having a discussion about the culture to look into the membership and also look into uh, learn language, either taking the class or taking the test from your own studies. That's all I want to add to.
Hmm. Well, yeah, that's good. And a support system period is just good all the way around. You know, we always say get with like-minded people, get with like-minded people. So it provides a support system, and you know we support each other when it comes to Kemet, and we do talk a lot about the culture. Actually, let me stop sharing my screen. We end up talking about the culture because really, you know, the learning the language and just, you know, there's a bigger picture involved with this because learning the language, it actually breaks down into pretty much three levels or three stages. There's a beginner's level, beginner stage, and then there's an intermediate stage, and at the intermediate stage is where you learn grammar. And this is what I'll be going into this fall and winter with the publication of the grammar book. I'm working on it now, and I hope to have it finished by the fall to be able to start those classes with the grammar. And then from the grammar, we move to stage three, which will deal with giving some foundation information about historical comparative linguistics. And then from there, with that under your belt, all three of those stages under your belt, then we could begin to start to pierce into the realities behind all of these different inscriptions and text. Because you know we discuss it all the time, but for the sake of those watching and those who will be watching the archive, when you're dealing with ancient African cultures in general and in specifically in Kemet, there is a sense of mystery to all of this, and this is why they call it, you know, the Egyptian mystery systems and things like that. But the mystery is more so the a result of the methods in which the ancient Africans documented um, their information. You know, the observations that they've done in nature, the observations they've done in you know philosophical thought, in mathematical pursuits, whatever it is, it's the method, and the method today we will call it figurative language. And within figurative language, anybody who's a writer for movies, screenwrites, plays, or whatever, you know, a lot of those people who do that will be very familiar with figurative language because we use it today more so as a hobby, intentionally as a hobby, but we use it in our everyday speech as well. But figurative language includes a whole, you know, a whole laundry list of different forms. It manifests in different forms from metaphors to allegories to narratives that we clump together and we call them myths and so on and so forth. So we have these. So when we're dealing with figurative language, we have to pierce through that and get to the reality of what is actually being talked about. You know, and it's because of the lack of that that a lot of people are arguing back and forth. Like I witnessed a lot of people argue about those who believe in the Bible or those who believe in the Quran, and because of how they interpret those scriptures, and they interpret them in a way where it may not be in line with the original reality behind the various different stories. And just as a quick example, like we know that snakes don't talk, um, but here we, you know, in the garden story, the snake is talking to a woman named Eve, and people may look at that literally, may or may not. I'm just saying as an example. Um, Another example would be a man being swallowed by a very large fish that most people call a whale, and he lives in there for 3 days and 3 nights, and then the whale spits him back out. Um, a woman looking back at a city and turning to a pillar of salt. all these different stories, um, people have to find out the realities behind that, if a reality exists, because there are stories that are just purely no reality, on the other side of it. And then there's a lot of stories that are written with realities on that. And then those realities always kept track within the culture, within the tradition. If you are born and raised within a tradition and they have an unbroken chain of a priesthood that initiates its members into that knowledge of the realities behind these different metaphors, then you would have insight on that. But a lot of people are not privy to that, so it becomes a mystery to them, and then it's misunderstood, and then it's repeated. The misunderstanding is repeated over and over again until it becomes a system, and then it becomes a belief system. Then you have a whole bunch of people following a misunderstanding, or the allegory or the figurative ways of things instead of the reality. So I say all of that to say that these three stages is really on level one, because once you get the skills under your belt, then you can pierce into the realities behind, or at least start to pierce into the realities behind what we're reading in the various different Egyptian texts. So I just wanted to say that. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, and we can't stop. We can't stop and be complacent with just learning the language, or just being able to see some glyphs and read it and brag about it. Go to a museum and say, haha, I could read this and read that. There's a lot more work to do, because there's a wealth of valuable information in Kemet. And what's sad in some cases is that we, as people of African descent, we kind of take it for granted and don't see the real value in it, while other people do. And it may not be overt that they do, but they do. And how you know is because of, for example, Egyptology. Egyptology is a scientific discipline. So you had a group of people that saw the value in Egypt so much that they set aside and created an entire scientific discipline into the study of Egypt. You don't find that for a lot of other different cultures or groups of other people. So that's serious. It's a whole scientific category, Egyptology. You got classes on Egyptology and so on and so forth. So you got that. That's in regular academia. But then you have the occult groups, such as the Theosophical Society, such as the Rosicrucians, such as Freemasonry, the whole Masonic system, and things that are based and studying these different things. So other people take it very serious, and it's time that we do, and we have to be very scientific about it. But I know I'm rambling on, but anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that, but before I do that, I just wanted to self-correct something, because I get iffy if I make a mistake, and I know that there's some people watching, and I don't want somebody walking out with the wrong thing. But it was the word Abiju. I believe I said lowercase a, but we all know it's an uppercase A. Just for whoever was watching and took note of that, just to correct that part. And then I would just like to say that we definitely do encourage to have a lot of people. We need more people to join the group, learn the language, and join the group, because as you said, I mean, we need to be on the front line as well. We need more archaeologists. We need more people translating glyphs and stuff like that. And I mean, so I remember I started watching but last year I was watching other people translate stuff on YouTube before I made a commitment to learn the language. So I don't know, we have people watching right now. I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to come up with these presentations and do stuff like that, so that we needed a lot of that. So for those people who are watching, I definitely encourage you to take a step and learn the language, and it's definitely a benefit working within a team. As you've seen, I mean, you can't learn everything on your own, and you can go a long way, when you're doing stuff in a team, as we are doing right now. I mean, we help each other read the glyphs, and it has definitely helped me, like make leaps and bounds, like because I started from scratch not more than a year ago. So I wouldn't be at this level if I was working on my own somewhere. So it's a definite benefit working in a group, and I encourage people to definitely join the group. Learn the language, go, whatever it is you want to learn it. You can learn it from Ujao, or you can learn it from the other. I know he's mentioned other teachers that do teach as well, and if you're doing a self-study and all that, but definitely take the benefit of learning within groups as we do. And yeah, and we need more people. We definitely need more ladies as well, so I'm going to emphasize on that as well. We, yeah, definitely. So so we don't have a lot of debates and all that kind of stuff, because I know, we have to use this for something more beneficial to ourselves, like individually and collectively as a community. Well, I think that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We definitely need sisters, and I think that the social media platform with especially in the debating environment, it's very male dominant. So I think that kind of shies away some of the sisters from participating or maybe even moving forward and learning. But I hope that that's not the case. And we're open. This is a male, female, men, women group. Sonette Tonica or Sister Tonica is you know champion forward for the other sisters. Um, and we have there's some sisters that are taking the class now as well. And then, like I said, I definitely want to start a new class group as soon as possible. So if anybody is do happen to see this as an archive, by all means, go to the website, read more about the class and the schedule. But the gist of it is that it's a 12-week class, and it's a certification class, and we meet once a week for 2 hours for 12 weeks. All right. So, and then like I guess my biggest obstacle in setting up the class, new class groups, is trying to get everyone in sync to be as far as availability for a particular day. Because I like to be consistent on the same day. So, like for example, the new class group, let's say it's a Saturday group, so that means I want to meet every Saturday. You know, but by it being the summer months, and everyone has families and things to do, sometimes that will be my biggest obstacle. But nevertheless, I've had classes. I've been teaching online for a year now, and I've been teaching prior to that 4 years before I moved to teach online. So I've been teaching the beginners level for roughly about 5 years. All right, and like I said, this fall the plan is to move to stage two, to offer stage two, which will be for grammar, and then stage three, and I plan to team up with Brother Saramotep um, to offer some form of classes on linguistics. All right, and then with those three stages under your belt, like I said, then we can move to level two. So you have level one, 3 stages, and then we move up to level two, where we start to actually pierce through these symbolisms, allegories, metaphors, all of these different things, and we can actually start looking at it and examining it scientifically, and then eventually start applying what is applicable, what is actionable, because everybody else is doing it. We're the only ones. We're the only ones that's not applying our own sciences, our own stuff, you know. And obviously I'm speaking in general, because you do have groups out there that are doing some very good work. So I don't want to act like it doesn't exist at all. But for the most part, we have to do better. We have to do better, you know. So, and plus, learning more will reduce the arguments. The more you know, the more you study, the less you argue. That's just a rule. That's just a natural rule. A lot of us, we argue over things we don't fully know about. And if you watch these different back and forth debates and things. Now, debating itself is good. It's excellent. Debating is good. Arguing is good. for the real meaning of the word argument and debate, because it actually advances knowledge. It sparks critical question, critical thinking, and all of that. But we just have to learn how to debate properly, and learn how to discern fact from fiction, so that we can add to the body of knowledge that we have, and then move on, so that we don't keep going in circles. We actually spiral, instead of coming back to the same point. Now we're starting to spiral up. That's what we need to do. So we have to do better all together, and that's what this group, Seshew, Ma'ani, Medew, Netcher, represents in the smaller segment of dealing with the language. We don't claim to be experts at any other thing, not even the language itself. We're a work in progress, and we're learning, but we're doing it systematically. We're doing it step by step, systematically. We got a very good foundation down with the beginners level, and we're moving to grammar. I'm going to be offering that as a class in the fall, the grammar. And the grammar is important. And trust me, when you learn the grammar, you'll really appreciate language in general. I guarantee, if you're one of those people that feel that certain languages are better than others, or like, for example, I hear people say that English is the devil's language, or the language of confusion, and this and that. And when you study the grammar of Ronnie Kemet, you're going to reflect on all of that, and you're going to appreciate language, period. And you probably have to adjust how you view how you once saw these different languages. All right. So are we still on? Okay, yeah, I'm just making sure. All right, so anybody have any other thing? I see. I'm gonna make sure I'm not missing any comments. Let me just scroll up and read some of these comments. All right, brother Khalik Allah. Yeah, just my name is Wajau on Facebook. Just you can contact me, or any of the brothers on the panel. We got Satep Ra, brother Robert, brother Christopher, Sonnet, Tonica, brother Damo, who's not here right now, brother Atiba, who's not here right now. Matter of fact, just join, if you join the Seshew Mani Medew Netcher Facebook group, just chime in, just share information, chime in, ask questions, whatever you like. All right. You get more information that way. I see you already have the website. All right, then we have Sister Monica. Definitely she now, to her credit, because the sister Tonica had brought up, the need for more sisters, more women. We need that feminine balancement and everything like that. Now Monica has definitely is definitely interested, 100%. So she's ready. She's ready to go. She's gonna be in the next class. I know I'm putting her on the spot, but she's gonna be in the next class, and we're gonna go. And we have the sister Lisa as well. So yeah, we it's gonna be all right. And brother Jehuti Mat, yeah, matter of fact, the brother Jehuti Mat went through the class, passed the final exam and everything like that. He submitted recently, sort of recently, and it's pretty much on me. Submitted another transliteration and translation that I have to go over with him and everything like that. But so far, the brother is sharp and on point with everything, and he will be joining the ranks, at a blink of an eye. So he'll be joining the ranks. And what else? Am I missing anything? Anybody else have something to say? Because I'm real long-winded at end of these sessions. Everybody can see that I must not have a life. I know people wonder, like, man, Brother Wajau doesn't even have a life.
No, I agree with what you guys were saying earlier too about the team situation. And I just want to give a shout out to those over there at University of Kemet Press, because he consistently uses that phrase, teams win.
Mm-hmm.
So big shout out to them. We support them and all their books. Get them if you can. And I also want to give a shout out to the Sonnet Tanika bringing balance to the group. Thank you very much. We're glad to have a sister on the team. We're looking for a while. So yeah, shout out and dua to the Sanet Neferet and to the Monica, who is soon to be joining the classes.
All right.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that, and also just like they said, man, just stay tuned because we got a lot of stuff we working on. So just be ready for the information.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's a good shout out for University of Kemet Press because they have done an excellent job at a series of books. I think everyone should have all of their books. I'm 100% support of their work. You know, their work is actionable work, applicable works that you can read and use. You know, it's not something you read and put down. You know, you read it and you use it. You know, and that's what we need. We need that. You know, and you know, we're dealing with some experienced people. Daka Kilimanjaro, Ifa Kilimanjaro, and the brother Yahra Aneb. Um, they've done an excellent job over there at University of Kemet Press, and you know, I hope to work with them in the future in the development of institutions. We need institutions. We need institutions that incorporate issues of health, incorporate issues of building good character, and then you know that will give way to appropriate or correct method in order to investigate different things and know how to investigate, what to investigate. That's applicable. That's important to us here and now. You know, in 2016 and beyond. And they have books that outline a lot of different steps for that. They have African Timeline that goes back in history. They have Box Squared, and then they have a book about that. Probably gonna kill me if I don't remember this title, but it's what to do next, or something to that effect. Like, what do we do now?
What must be done?
I got it.
Oh yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. What
I got it. It's
Yeah.
what must be
What
done.
must be done?
there you go. What must be done? You can't get any more direct than that. What must be done? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have teaching teams. Then you have study teams. A book called Study Teams. Book called Teaching Teams. Then you have a book called K through 12, Building African Schools or African Curriculums and things like that. And then make no mistake about it, the Seshew Ma'ani Medew Netcher is African centered. All right. I know there's people that have a problem with Afrocentric or even Afrocentricity and things like that. But you know, Afrocentricity, people who may have a problem with that are people that are not well studied in what Afrocentricity actually is. And there are people out there that may give Afrocentrism a bad name because, you know, the stereotype is that people that deal with Afrocentricity or African Afrocentric people simply do things for racist reasons or reverse racial reasons, or they want to paint everything black or paint everything African and things like that. And you do have some people out there that do that, but that's not what Afrocentricity is, you know, especially as espoused by Dr. Asante. You know, he has 3 books written related to Afrocentricity, you know, and it's a method. It is a method of that you apply to the inquiries and things like that. So I would encourage people who may have little hang-ups about Afrocentricity to get his books and watch his videos or his lectures and really learn about it before formulating an opinion about it. Don't let the minority of people that give it a bad name be the representation of it. You know, we don't do that. We don't judge books by their covers and things like that. But I just wanted to put it out there that we are definitely African centered. You have to be. And I'll just give a quick example. Even with Kemet itself, Africans have a certain orientation, and in African cultures, they are their own agents, or agents have agency in their own um, observations. And if you don't tap into that agency, then you're gonna miss the boat. You're gonna miss out on what is really going on, what is really said, whether the African tradition is still living today or it's one that's quote unquote died out, as they say about Kemet. But even in Kemet, um, even in Kemet, the orientation, just on a surface level, just give an example, the orientation of a person who lived in Kemet thousands of years ago, um, the Remich, they viewed the continent of Africa or the world in reverse of how we view it today. And just to give a quick example, this will probably be the last thing, is that, like, for example, when we look at the maps, if you close your eyes or you just picture the map, you picture Africa, you picture America, you picture South America, even Europe, or whatever case is, you have an image that comes up into your mind, and that's the image that we've seen all of our lives of a map, that where you have the North Pole at the top, the South Pole at the bottom. You know, Europe is northern, Africa's below Europe. You know, you have North America and then South America below that. Because of that image burns into your psyche, and then therefore it becomes your orientation when it comes to spatial things, the cardinal points and spatial relationships. Well, in Africa, especially in Kemet, they had the reverse orientation. And for example, it would be as though you were now if you can imagine this, imagine the cardinal points remaining the same. And by cardinal points, I'm talking about north, south, east, and west. So let's say those are fixed. Those are you know, can't move them, immutable. All right. Now, so which means that you yourself orientate you. You don't move the cardinal points. You move yourself. So if you made a 180-degree about face, now you're facing the south, and then the north is to your back, and then the east is on your left hand side, and the west is on your right hand side. Now, that would be the orientation of the ancient Egyptians or the ancient Remich. And how we know that is because of the language. The same word for west is the same word for right, the right hand side. The same word for east is the same word for left. The same word for south is the same word for what's in front or at the head, because either it's in front of you if you're standing straight up. Now, try to picture the map being on the floor. And like I said, the cardinal points are fixed and the map stays the same, but you turn your body around. So if you were standing up on Africa, if let's say you were this big giant, and you're standing on the continent of Africa, you're facing the south. So south becomes the front of you. But now let's say, and then, you know, Europe would be behind you, to your back. But let's say you were to lay down now, lay down on the map. Now the south becomes your head, and the word resi, which we translate as south, it means head. And then you have at your feet would be our north, by the Mediterranean, you know, the going towards Europe. So the word for feet, or the word for the end of something, is the word mehu, and you get ta mehu, which is the north. But if you're laying down, it'll be at your feet. So so this is verified within the language, and this is one of the reasons why it's important to learn language. Knowing the language will help you orientate yourself back to how the people had themselves orientated to. So and I say all of this because we have to be African centered in order to understand African phenomenon. It's just common logic. All right. So those people who have a problem with Afrocentricity and stuff, don't let those people who give it a bad name represent the whole thing, because you're going to be lost. You know, if you deny African centeredness when studying the African phenomenon, then you're going to miss the boat. I mean, I just can't put it any other way. And with that, I'll just end. You know, anybody else have any last comments? Other than that, we can end the live broadcast. We can stay in here and continue on. So I would say Shemim Hotep. You know, appreciate everyone tuned in live, and all those who will tune in and watch the archives. If you have any questions after the fact and everything, just join our Facebook group and make reference to this particular video or any video and ask your questions, share information, or if something that we've aired on, we're not above correction. So if you find something that we made a mistake on, by all means, bring it up. let's deal with it because we wanna be on point. All right. So with that, I'll say Shem Imhotep.